It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And I know a lot of people listen to us and don't see all the great visuals, Tim, but you've got a Hardees behind you right now. So I believe you were in on the bust of Mike Lindell. Is that right?
I was not, but I find it somewhat amusing. It both terrifying and amusing at the same time.
So he's an everyman, isn't he? I mean, he's caught at a Hardees. I mean, It wasn't some posh restaurant like, a Cheesecake Factory at the bottom of the Hancock where Darren Bailey has just moved. But
No, it's classic Minnesota too. I mean, that's all the time. If you remember from Fargo, that's thanks for the Hardees. Oh, no problem.
And how would a Hardees compare with a Wendy's burger or a McDonald's? Are they
charcoal
comparable?
broiled? Hardees are charcoal broiled.
Okay.
They're also a partner with they're the same chain as Carl's Jr. They merged
there we go.
about 20
the
years
Cubs
ago.
had a player named Carl Edwards Jr., who was an absolute rail. And I would, every time he came in, I would joke that he needed to go to Carl's Jr. to beef up a little bit. So Mike Lindell,
he was on a hunting trip. That's the funny part to me. That's what he claims. He claims he's on a hunting trip. That's how Mike Lindell hunts. It's
right. He was just
give me curly fries.
Yeah,
give me a double with curly fries.
and and I hope he fended him off with his pillows. But anyway, I know that's the subject of many an editorial cartoon, an easy one, a slam dunk. So our governor today, on the day that we're taping, has declared a disaster. That there are 500 families or people, is it the migrants, immigrants, undocumented, illegals, whatever you want to call them. That
he actually said, if you heard his speech, he said that they're refugees, so they're perfectly legal.
Oh, okay. But he called, right, because they're seeking asylum. Yeah, that gambit. So here's the thing. He called it a disaster. And for a guy who's sensitive enough to use the word refugees, a disaster? Why use such a pejorative term like that? I mean, Chicago should have sent buses down to the Rio Grande to bring these people back. But okay, enough that it took Abbott to send the people up here. But to call that a disaster, that's hurtful. That's hurtful, Governor. And I would hope that the governor would be offering his home, albeit without a working toilet, to some of those migrants. They're probably
the disaster is that they're Venezuelan. He was hoping for Mexicans.
I see. So we were all hoping for. Well, they are Venezuelan. Yeah, that's why I thought we were going to get like a backup shortstop for the White Sox out of this, but. Anyway, and why couldn't they? They were shipping them to like Burr Ridge and Elk Grove, and the Burr Ridge mayor. I mean, no, Burr Ridge had a mayor. I thought it ran an automatic pilot. It's just one big gated community, isn't it? But I thought that he would, and this mayor said, I'm not in favor of, refugee cities, sanctuary cities, but that's exactly, I guess, why they would send people to the suburbs. I just,
I think if you actually look at where they're sending the refugees, is I think they probably tend to lean a little to the right.
Yeah, I would guess so. But
that's
here's
that's kind of their revenge. It's like, I'll show you. Well, Trumpers.
The thing is that there are so many. Aren't there like empty Chicago public schools where people? There's a lot of school stock out there and not enough students anymore. But at one point, I believe Pritzker said this was a heartless display of politics. Actually, au contraire, Governor, this is a heartless display of NIMBY. Not in my backyard. You don't want these people. So, in any event, I'm sure it'll all resolve itself in short order, maybe with the midterm election. But in other news, So there's this guy, David Leonhardt, who writes a daily briefing for the New York Times. And he was asking a question the other day. Are the polls looking too hard for Republicans to try to make up for the fact that they didn't look hard enough in the 2020 election and Trafalgar beat everybody out? However, Nate Cohn, quoted in that article, says you got to be careful about this Democratic rebound, because the Democrats are surging in all the places that the polls overstated their presence just a couple of years ago. Wisconsin, to wit. And just to buttress that point, I guess there was a poll out today by Marquette University. They had Ron Johnson's opponent up by 5 points, something like that, just a month ago. And now Johnson's back up, albeit by the margin of error. So it seems to be, I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch here, that things are shifting back to the Republicans. Agree? Disagree?
I haven't trusted polls since 2016. You know, it's when Nate Silver gave Donald Trump a 5% chance of winning. And Donald Trump believed him too. He booked his victory party at a Hilton.
Oh no,
he was sure he was going to lose.
Nobody believed 2016. As a matter of fact, I was seeing, tweets in the afternoon. I was really depressed because it was like, oh, we're going to lose Florida, and that's it. It's going to be over early. And then everything started to turn, and it was better than the Cubs winning the World Series, which had happened just or would happen a few days later, a few days earlier. I can't remember now, but they're all in the same week. And of course, I'm not.
My joke for the week was that is that. Yeah, I can't remember.
You'll get it back.
No, it was similar. It was based on that. Similarly, my dad said that Trump has as much chance as the Cubs of winning a World Series.
Right.
I think
there it happened,
which wasn't really a funny joke looking back.
You know what? It was worth plumbing the depths of your the Prevagen in.
No, it wasn't actually. I think that's why I purposely tried to forget it.
I love this.
Is that all the more I had?
I love the cinema verite that we have right here. So meanwhile, speaking of guys who are having mind problems, of course, he's a stroke victim. John Fetterman, the candidate in Pennsylvania. And I guess Dr. Oz is getting a little bit closer in Pennsylvania in that Senate race. Fetterman introduced himself the other day. I mean, talk about pandering, as John Fetterwoman. In a pro-abortion speech. And here's the thing, they're all questioning whether he can debate or not, and he's ducking this. He's got a serious handicap, right? And
he's also got something weird on the back of his head. Have you seen that lump?
Is it a Gorbachevian splotch?
No, it's an enormous lump.
Oh, is that
actually, if you look at it, it looks like it's actually bigger than you should. It looks like it's going into the hoodie. It looks like he looks like he has a Siamese twin back there.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's we should make fun of the ill, but then maybe they shouldn't be Senate candidates.
Exactly.
Meantime, this guy Bolduc won in I guess it's New Hampshire, and I think he's like for repealing the 17th Amendment, and who isn't? That's the direct election of senators by the populace.
I'm a big advocate of the elimination of the 17th Amendment.
Yeah, that's like the first one that I would go for. But we'd be remiss because we've had this on the agenda for the last 4 weeks and we haven't gotten to it. I've kept tabling it, but Blake Masters in Arizona having a lot of problems because nobody wants to support him or even talk about him on this show. But and he, of course, he had a complete reversal on abortion, and he scrubbed a lot from his website. However, I've got to say, just was somebody was remarking today, I think it was John Podhoretz on the commentary podcast, that inflation, which the Biden administration is trying to poo-poo, with James Taylor serenading us out of the inflation era yesterday, but we'll get to that later. The that inflation is particularly high in Phoenix. So it could be an issue there. So I think, and Herschel Walker's apparently not putting his foot in his mouth. So it just looks like it could be a lot closer. We were down in the dumps for a while. Agree here or again?
I think, like I said, I think there's no real enthusiasm on the left. I mean, that's why they're trying to make something about this abortion thing. They're hoping,
sure,
they're hoping that's their saving thing. But there is a lot of vitriol on the right,
and to try and tamp the abortion enthusiasm, Lindsey Graham came up with this 15-week 15-week abortion thing yesterday. Of course, it federalizes abortion, which is anathema to everything Republicans believe in. But and McConnell says he'd never bring it up for a vote, but still, it seemed like a decent political move because the Republicans have been all over the place on abortion and haven't been able to react to the Dobbs decision. So I think it actually would probably help a little bit.
Maybe it's a distraction. It's
I just think it sounds like
don't go after your state legislatures. Come after us.
Yeah, well, I mean, but the thing is that like France has a 15-week rule. I think that's kind of the consensus. It's not considered an extreme position. So if you take that middle position, even though you have to abdicate your federalism principles in order to say
that's what Alito said. Alito essentially said that the federal government has no business.
Of course, absolutely. Thank you, Lindsey.
I know.
Thank you, Lindsey. Wait, sometimes you have to, break a few eggs or ovas to make an omelet. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
Pritzker is blasting a political ad that shows a real-life attack on a woman on Chicago's North Side.
And a lot of people are talking about that ad, and Sally is here now with more. Sally?
Yeah, if you have a TV, you have probably seen this one. It shows doorbell video camera of a woman getting attacked on the North Side. This happened earlier this month. In the ad, you can hear the victim screaming repeatedly as three men attack her in Lakeview. The ad comes from a conservative political action group called People Who Play by the Rules PAC, which often attacks Governor Pritzker while supporting his Republican opponent, Darren Bailey. Pritzker calls it disgusting and racist.
It's a terrible commercial. They've chosen a particular crime in which there was a white woman who is the victim and apparently black perpetrators. That's the ad they want people to see, particularly in the suburbs. That's part of the entire racial tinge of everything that's being put out by that PAC.
Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. So, Tim, I was watching the Bears on Sunday, and all of a sudden this ad comes on. And it's like, I got to admit, I mean, it was disturbing, and even though I'm in favor of Bailey, it was like, oh my God, it was so horrible.
Too
much. Horrible to watch. Now, Channel 5 apparently, and this is really threading the needle. My former employer, so I should recuse myself from this. But Channel 5 showed this robbery on an assault on the news, but then pulled the ad. Now, I don't know how you distinguish between the two. I mean, I guess you could say, like, people like me you expect to see that on the news. You don't expect to be assaulted with that while you're watching a Bears game. But I think the reason that Channel 5 did this was because they, like just about everybody else, Rush Limbaugh included, terrified of their audience. So, no, they shouldn't have shown this, but we'll watch it on the news because the audience is full of hypocrites.
Yeah, because it's exciting to see someone get attacked.
Well, it's nice to see it on the news, but to then be able to use it as a political weapon. Now that's not kosher, apparently. I guess I have it in for Channel 5 because I know that they make these decisions based on like one or two people calling in. Like there used to be this old lady named Laverne who would call in and complain about things. And we got That's the end of the show that we gave you. Okay. So in any event, this did have the feel of like the Willie Horton ad to me. You remember the Willie Horton ad, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So
what was interesting to me
Yeah.
was when Pritzker was talking about it, when Pritzker was criticizing it, he
Yeah.
said that a white woman was attacked by men who were apparently black.
which is you can't even tell.
Really?
Can you tell in the
I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell either.
yeah.
I couldn't see
But
that she
he
was
sees
white.
whatever colors he sees. Whatever
Exactly.
colors he
She's
wants to.
definitely white. She's
Yeah.
definitely white, but apparently black.
And so this was just a racist dog whistle. Reminds me of when who's that guy on
Now they have
I mean-
masks on, right? We're looking at it now?
yeah, they
have
had
masks on?
masks on. I mean, I couldn't
they
tell
had
the
dark
I think
mask on.
I think I thought the woman was white, but I couldn't tell that the race of the assailants. And somebody
maybe they were actually Nigerian MAGA supporters.
yeah, right, exactly. Now I saw somebody on Twitter was responding to me and saying, well, the Political Action Committee altered the sound on this. And then I asked, well, how did they alter the sound? I mean, did they, was she not screaming? Did they enhance it? I mean, but I'm willing to listen to any legitimate objections to it, but I really haven't heard one proven yet. I mean, this is the kind of thing that you see on these ads.
They turned up the volume.
Did they turn up the volume?
I don't know.
I mean, really. And I think those in favor, and of course, this was like an anti-Pritzker Lightfoot ad. I actually think those in favor of getting rid of bail have a point. I don't agree with it. I mean, if you could afford bail, you get out. Poorer accused persons are discriminated against. How about a progressive tax on the accused? The richer you are, the more you have to pay. That way, no one gets out. Maybe this exists already. I mean, you should. But in any event, I just.
Is that what it is? Is that what the ad is? I don't know if I saw the ad.
It's anti-Pritzker and Lightfoot.
Well, I know,
but
what do they say? Is it?
There's nothing said. It just shows what comes from that doorbell cam. I mean, that's all. The thing, res ipsa loquitur. The thing speaks for itself.
So there's no voiceover.
There's nothing
no
that
paid
says,
for by.
Oh, yeah, it says paid for. I mean, I think this is a Dan Proft concoction. I don't know. I'm willing to give him credit for it. It's pretty. It could be pretty effective. But you know what? One of my reactions was to this when I saw this. I immediately recoiled in shock. But the second thing is why isn't anybody like opening up their doors with AR-15s and blowing away these guys? And of course, that's coming from somebody who actually thinks maybe we should ban the AR-15. So, you can't win with me.
The way the national news covered it kind of cracked me up. They said it's just a normal middle class part of Chicago.
Well, I mean, Lakeview. I mean, that's what. Whoever concocted this ad was trying to show that this. I mean, this isn't like Englewood. I mean, this is
no. It's definitely one of the better neighborhoods in Chicago.
Yeah, and it happened
middle class.
Well, I mean,
if you price real estate in Lakeview,
oh, right, exactly, right. I get it.
That's not middle class. At least not where I'm from.
Yeah, no. You know what? Because the houses are relatively small, but it's expensive property. So yeah, you're right about that. It's pretty expensive. So then there was this other article, and it's funny, speaking of Dan Proft, because it was a Tribune article, and it had Pritzker once again, because I mean, God, are they allied with Pritzker, the Tribune? It's just funny how those vultures who took over the Tribune seem to be woke. Isn't that wonderful? It's their redeeming value. But they said that Pritzker said that there's some fake newspapers that really are just political organs, like the Tribune isn't a fake newspaper that's just a political organ, and were ripping Pritzker on the Bail Reform Act. And I was thinking to myself, and on top of that, they threw in the ad hominem argument. They said this is all engineered by Dan Proft, who lives in Florida. Which, I mean, actually, that's that's the punch that really hits, because does Dan really have standing to argue about this stuff while he's smoking a cigar and drinking a brown liquor drink? And I'm just envious because he could drink those and I would nurse a blue moon. Yeah, but it's kind of like dirty pool by the Tribune saying that. And then they criticized him for apparently in this ad, there was an ad in these news or their so-called stories in these so-called newspapers said that there was a mandate to release prisoners. And of course, and they tried to distinguish this and say the law doesn't provide a mandate. It just gives judges the discretion to let crooks out. Well, so is that semantics? I mean, it's a mandate to give judges discretion, and that's a big problem. I mean, these lax bail rules are resulting in an increase in crime. And the prosecutors even know that. Even the radical prosecutors who favor this kind of stuff, and out in San Francisco where they recalled one, I mean, they were justifying, saying, yeah, some people are actually going to get killed as a result of this, but on the whole, it's going to be better that we're going to be letting people. Oh, okay, well, a lot of people don't look at it that way, and that's why there's elections. But I did get a kick out of the fact that Pritzker in the Tribune was saying that these are fake newspapers, when the last time I looked at the Tribune, it looked like it was operating out of a dentist's office. It's not a Tribune Tower anymore. And
but the fake newspaper trick, I mean, that's old. When I was kids, we used to get fake newspapers that
the Weekly Reader, Junior Scholastic.
Those were no, those were circulars for sex workers that with stories tacked on the front.
I totally look. I worked in the newspaper business, and I worked for nothing but fake newspapers. So, in any event, Bailey is not without sin. He was interviewed by Amy Jacobson of WIND, and she asked him. She put the question to him. Well, let's clarify this. What is your view on abortion? Are there no exceptions, not even for rape and incest? And he didn't answer the question. So. If I had been on with Amy, and I have been on with her in the past, I would have said, I'm going to ask that answer be stricken as non-responsive, Mr. Putative Governor or wannabe governor. And I'm going to ask the question again. And that's maybe one reason why I haven't been invited to be on WIND is that, I would have just kept asking the same question.
I never understood the distinction between rape and incest, though.
There's a distinction. I mean, as far as abortion.
Why is it seems to me if a brother and sister are consenting adults and decide they want to have sex, and there's actually why do they get an exception from two people that meet in a bar one night?
You would fit in right in the Game of Thrones plots. I'm telling you.
No, I just don't understand. And people say, well, if an uncle, gets his little minor niece pregnant, well, that's rape.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I follow.
I never understood why. And incest.
Very quickly, not to pivot from that wonderful point that you made, but apparently Bailey has moved into the John Hancock. He's got an apartment in the John Hancock because he wanted to immerse himself in Chicago culture. And I believe on a clear day you can see Englewood. So it depends how high up he is there. We'll have more ripping the Tribune and Ukraine. Oh yeah, the Ukrainians are winning. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
Didn't get what we were hoping for here. Is it coming?
Well, as I was expecting, we got winner, chicken dinner, more expensive food prices. So you see it every day in the grocery store. So I'm not surprised by the number at all. It's right in line with expectations, for me at least.
How about you, Mira?
Look, it puts pressure on the Fed to continue to hike pretty aggressively. We expected 75 coming into this meeting, regardless of the inflation print, though, because even if we did get cooler inflation, which we didn't, we still haven't seen that sustained trend of disinflation. So we're going to continue to watch out to see if we do see that.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And Tim, the Biden administration really trying to spin these numbers. It was dizzying. The AP said, well, inflation continued to slow, but it's still 8.3%. And Larry Summers, don't listen to me. Listen to Larry Summers, the economic guru, former president of Harvard and a liberal Democrat, said today's CPI report confirms that the U.S. has a serious inflation problem. Core inflation is higher this month than for the quarter, higher this quarter than last quarter, higher this half of the year than the previous one, and higher last year than the previous one. So, I mean, that kind of put it in perspective right there.
And the White House celebrates.
Yeah, they celebrated with James Taylor, which is interesting. And everybody was saying that James Taylor was singing a song about suicide, and I thought to myself, what James Taylor? Because I'm somewhat familiar with his oeuvre. I know that he sang many a Carole King song, and I was trying to think, what song of James Taylor is about suicide? And apparently, and I have to confess my ignorance here, I am so ashamed. I did not realize that Fire and Rain was about suicide.
Oh, yeah, it was a real dear friend of his killed herself in a mental institution.
The background, actually.
I know the background, yeah.
Did you know it from the beginning?
Oh, yeah, I've always known it since I was a kid.
Just yesterday morning, they let me know you were gone.
Yeah, because a lot of girls in school when that song came out were really into it, and so they would.
But I just
talk
thought somebody
poetically
left.
at length about it.
Yeah, I just thought somebody left. I mean, next thing you're going to do is tell me that Brown Sugar is a racist song. I never understood the lyrics to that. I was just around midnight. I
think Fire and Rain was too subtle. I think they should have played the theme from MASH.
Yeah. Exactly.
Suicide is painless.
Sure,
That's
absolutely.
I mean,
see, if I don't understand Fire and Rain, how am I going to explain or understand Fire and Ice from A Game of Thrones? I'm just too dim-witted. Are you watching that?
I watched episode 1. I fell asleep through episode 2. I haven't had the ambition to go back and rewatch episode 2 so I can move on to 3.
Yeah, I fell asleep as well a couple of times, but actually they're pretty good, and I just fault myself. And actually, the plot, I won't give any of it away. The plot is forming now, and it's kind of predictable, but it's still fun because you got dragons and sex, and what more could you ask for? What more could you ask for? So meantime, just to show you how they gaslight us, ABC 7 had a tweet yesterday when all this news was coming out, and it was basically a positive tweet about the economy, saying that a sign that the painful inflation of the past 18 months may be gradually easing could come Tuesday, which was yesterday. Well, I mean, gas prices are down, which is what accounts for, going down from 8.6 to 8.3, I guess. But that's not what the real news was.
I actually saw that food is 13 and a quarter.
13% up. 13%.
Yeah, so it's the only reason why it's as low as 8.2% is because the gas prices are coming down, and it's I totally give credit to Biden for that.
Oh, and wait till the wait till the rail strike, which will hike everything else. Isn't that going to be great?
Amtrak trains are canceled. Did you see that? They're canceling all and nobody noticed.
Right. So let's turn our attention to the media very briefly here. It turns out the New York Times is anti-union and racist, according to its own employees. It's just not woke enough because they haven't offered a big enough raise, so they're anti-union. And apparently they have a way of determining how the reporters and other employees have performed, and minorities are not scoring high enough. Ergo, New York Times is racist. So it's nice to know that. I mean, that's the woke paper of record, they're racist. But these kinds of things always happen.
What kind of tests are they giving? Like,
Well,
are they
you know,
giving
they
like
have-
the
they-
SIT English portion?
They have performance evaluations just like anybody else, and apparently minorities aren't performing as well according to the test results, which that's
Well, does that mean
de
people
facto proof that that they're racist?
Does
right?
that mean people aren't clicking on their articles? What? I mean, how do you judge the performance of a newspaper writer? Really? Are they not submitting enough?
I don't know what the criteria were. Why doesn't the union hire you right now? I was satisfied with the result here, which I thought was just, the left eating its own. And you see this all the time. I remember when Michael Moore's employees pulled a Michael Moore on Michael Moore, and
they tried to unionize. Yeah,
they were demanding to interview him, and what are you kidding? What are you, crazy? That's what
a buddy of mine did a film, Michael Moore Hates America, where he actually wandered through New York trying to get an interview with Michael Moore.
Of course, not accessible at all.
Uh-uh.
So here's another story. The Chicago school budget is up, even though there's no students anymore. So it's inversely proportional. The school budget goes up. This is from the Illinois Policy Institute. Thank you very much. Thanks for their tweet. Chicago enrollment dropped 55%, but they've got a larger school budget. So, but that seems to make sense. Of course, I have no standing to comment about something like this because I don't live in the district covered by the Chicago Public Schools. I'll leave that to Dan Proft, the Florida resident.
That's just baseline budgeting. That's how that works. Is every department is supposed to get a little bit more every year automatically.
Sure.
If you don't get that bump, it's considered a cut.
Well, right.
Even though it might be the same exact amount of money that you got the previous year, it's called a cut.
That was the through the looking glass logic always used for Congress. They never really wanted to cut anything. They just wanted to slow the growth, but that was called a cut. So, yeah, no, I understand that. All right, now it's time for that little bit that I have to explain every week, which makes me wonder whether it's actually worth doing. But this is, of course, Rob Feeder, the media critic, retired, and Irv Kupcinet has been dead for a while. And I thought that a nice blend of the two would result in some media observations, or what I like to call Brucervations. Number one, John Drury is still dead. The late Mark Giangreco and Janet Davies, relieved of their duties as ABC 7 New Year's hosts, have been asked by Beth Hillel congregation in Highland Park to ring in the Jewish New Year of Rosh Hashanah next week. The two will reenact Abraham's binding of Isaac to illustrate the injustice of Mark and Janet's dismissal by Channel 7. WLS radio ad execs are doing cartwheels over landing the LAR America First daily political ad account. And now let's go to our reporter, Puppy Dog Drummond, with, I hope, this non-obscene report.
Hi, Irv. This report comes from when I was on the road last week in Oakland, where the White Sox were. And Gordon Beckham was filling in for Steve Stone while he was taking one of his 7 to 8 required senior vacations. Gordon is partnered with, of course, noted diversity hire Jason Benetti. And when asked how it was going, Gordon said, the fake voice, the bad jokes that only he laughs at, the nonstop talking, not allowing the game to breathe. You want to talk about working with a disability? Irv, back to you.
All right. I would like to disavow, even my puppet character would like to disavow. I mean, Jason Benetti is good. Okay. He's not a diversity hire. But what? Okay. You're entitled.
The nonstop laughing at the jokes that aren't funny kind of sounds like this show.
Exactly. and don't stop. And don't stop. And finally, if Ivan Bunny married Gil Stern, I wouldn't even blush now. All right.
Brucervations, ladies and gentlemen.
Those are Brucervations. And I did want to mention something. We do have a second here, right? This is the C block. So back to Pritzker. So more media. The Tribune has had a story that Bailey is in trouble with the Jewish community yet again. because he supposedly has some sort of support for the disinvestment movement in Israel. Of course, if you read the story, he was questioning the constitutionality of a law that would bar state funds being used against. I'm confused on this on disinvestment, but he was just looking at the Constitution. He said he was a strong supporter of Israel. Then they had another aspect of that story in which they said that that Bailey said that there were more murders in Chicago than in New York and LA combined, and that is not technically true. But it's awfully close. So what were they trying to prove?
So it's not more, it's about the same.
It's about the same. And I know I garbled that disinvestment thing, but it was just, but they're looking for things. Do they pick on Pritzker this much? I want a Tribune investigation on whether Pritzker eats pork. Come on, Trib. So, and finally, was that a fake laugh? Okay.
No, I like that.
That was a genuine one.
I liked that one.
You anti-Semitic bastard. Anyway, so hey, Ukraine is winning. Tucker Carlson, take that. Ukraine is winning the war. I mean,
at this moment.
Okay.
At this
Fair
moment.
Enough. Fair enough. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first runner-up is April Moore. The winner, our Miss Florida USA 1995, is Shannon Bream. Shannon Bream from Tallahassee. From Florida State University in the School of Law.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And, what's the news peg for Shannon Bream? I saw an ad during the football game on Sunday that she's got a new show or an old show. They keep recycling her at Fox. And it's great that she's a survivor and she's a beautiful woman and she's talented. I've interviewed her before. She's a lawyer. Very smart, but I just don't see her riding a dragon, and that's
You think Miss Florida has to ride a dragon?
That's just a threshold test for me now with these blondes. Do they ride a dragon, and let alone become the queen or monarch at Westeros? But that's just the way I test things. Speaking of other people in the media, Gayle King of CBS This Morning, and they, this incarnation of CBS This Morning has lasted quite a long time. Remember when Charlie Rose thought that women loved him so much that he could just disrobe in front of them. Anyway, there's this tweet. Arizona State University and CBS on Tuesday announced that Gayle King will be receiving the Walter Cronkite Award for Excellence in Journalism. Just a few facts not mentioned by ASU or CBS, according to Scott Whitlock. 1, Gayle has a history of Democratic donations. 2, she has vacation with the Obamas. I would add 3, Walter Cronkite sucked, so she deserves that award.
I read somewhere that the reason why Walter Cronkite was so popular is a lot of people thought he was Walt Disney.
It reminds me of in the primary in 1964 when LBJ lost to Eugene McCarthy in New Hampshire. A lot of people thought it was Joe McCarthy that they were voting for. But that makes sense because Walter Cronkite, that
same mustache, same first name,
avuncular demeanor, and I remember Walter. Now it's all coming back to me. Now it's time for the CBS News with Terry Drinkwater in Lake Michigan, Roger Mudd in the Okefenokee Swamp, and Mickey Mouse on Donald Duck, I think. So,
and here's Jiminy Cricket to sing us out.
So Walter Cronkite was so corrupt, but back then you could be corrupt. He actually sat down
under the fairness doctrine.
Well,
so
he sat there. Well, there was the media had not been democratized. There were no podcasts. Walter Cronkite had a private meeting with Bobby Kennedy in like 67 or 68 and advised him on whether to run for president or not. Well, you're not supposed to do that if you're a journalist. And that's the way that is. No. I mean, so she
67 or 68 definitely was not 69.
No. Now you're going on to another Kennedy. When I returned the car and Mary Jo were gone. So speaking of the media, I was watching last Monday night. I guess I really had a Jones for football this weekend because I watched an awful lot of it. I'm hoping that I'll tire of it. But Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, who are getting paid $1 gazillion to go to ESPN, did the Monday Night Football game. And first of all, I envy them for making all that money. And secondly, there was a better alternative. The Manning brothers are on ESPN too. Peyton and Eli, they know at least as much or more than Troy Aikman, who's kind of dull. And they're funny too. And they had some good guests on, including Joel McHale, who's a longtime Seattle fan. And he was the guy who was the host of The Soup. And the guy started doing play-by-play. And I was like, oh, geez, I thought I did funny play-by-play. This guy was a riot. So they were giving you humor. They were giving you all the analysis you could want in the game. So, who the heck needs Joe Buck and Troy Aikman?
So much better than the Dennis Miller play-by-play.
Well, Dennis Miller
their last
was stuck.
experiment.
Yeah, he was stuck because they bring him onto Monday Night Football, and it's not, and he's going to be the funny alternative, but he's still got to play the game, cha-cha. And he can't he can't do any of his routines like, what's international about the International House of Pancakes? Which is a great bit. So, anyway, the Bears did win over the weekend, and it was the most stunning upset since Ukraine took back 1,000 square miles the day before. So, but did you see the end of this? After the game was over, Justin Fields, who's been maligned, but he won the game. He does this belly flop, a slip and slide on the wet turf, an exit from Soldier Field. I mean, you talk about an air and water show by the lakefront, and it was an impromptu pool and a victory lap on it. Now, I wish I were a quarterback and got to do that. Of course, I'd be afraid that I'd catch COVID from the turf, from the moisture in the turf. But it was a wonderful synchronized swim. And it made every highlight real. I mean, there it is, a still shot of him, perfect landing.
So it's not just him; it's who's that doing it with him?
Yeah, it's a number of the players on the offense did it with him. He led them, and of course, he had the perfect landing there. The other guys are sprawling on it, but it was.
Try that in Arlington, gentlemen.
Exactly. Well, they seem like they're good mutters. So
they got to get a face full of horse bucky.
Yeah. Right. So pivoting right now, I saw this news about Leo DiCaprio. That apparently he has deigned to have a 27-year-old girlfriend, which, as you know, that his maximum was 25. But now he's dating a 27-year-old. And so they're thinking, well, he's raising the bar. But I say, and this woman's name is Gigi Hadid. Here's the thing. He's now 47.
Hadid sounds like a burlesque dancer, doesn't
it? Probably
sounds
is.
Like a burlesque belly dancer.
So he's 47 now. So the gap is still as big as it ever was between him and his paramours. It's just that he's raising the bar a little bit. And who among us does not become more tolerant of older women? I remember it used to be that the ideal age for a woman, according to a man. What do you think the ideal age was for a woman, according to men?
19.
Surveyed? Huh?
19.
Yeah, 20.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
I mean, that's not me. That's not me, folks. But,
what I'm wondering is, where did this whole Leonardo DiCaprio nothing over 25 meme originate? I notice it's been around lately.
It's been around for a long time.
I
mean, people have been tracking Leo as they should. I mean, he's a celebrity, and his love life should be tracked.
But no one did that to Hugh Hefner. I mean, he pretty much the same thing. He was pretty much 28 and out.
Hugh Hefner was a boring guy. What kind of man reads Playboy? A very dull, horny man.
I think they're called incels now.
Yeah, right. Mike Royko did a great piece back in the day on Hefner. He's not a Playboy. The Playboy was Aristotle Onassis, who got Jackie O. Hefner would just line up these bimbos all the time, and it was so dull. And then, of course, he turns out, the story's posthumously.
He turns out that he was just as pathetic an individual as sure. I imagined.
Yeah.
Is that he spent that his sex life was pretty much the same sex life as all the readers of his magazine.
I mean, it's just terrible.
He'd look at it and enjoy himself.
And yet I still, to this day, remember our unabashed dictionary defining urination as what the UN told Israel in 1948. And, that's always my go-to joke. And, hey, there's another TV. There's another controversy in the, tangentially related to sports area. Apparently, there's a controversy in the World Chess Championships, or I'm not sure if it's the World Chess Championship. They're accusing a chess champ of cheating during his match by using anal beads that vibrate, and somebody sends a signal for the right move on these to these anal beads that he has. And gives him the correct. The world of chess, this is the tweet, has been rocked by the biggest scandal in years after a player allegedly used wireless anal beads and its vibrations to signal his next move. Now, I got to tell you, I'd watch Queen's Gambit 2 if this were the plot. That's for sure. And somebody's got to come up with I'm digging those good vibrations. Is that pawn to king 4 or a homoerotic excitation? Couldn't they just have had an astro bang a drum? Hey, now if that isn't a good Gutfeld riff, I don't know what is. That's my audition to sub for. But
I tell you what though, if I was ever playing chess with that guy, I'd want to bring my own set.
So I've been interested in chess since Fischer and Spassky in '72, and I remember handy dandy Anatoly Karpov, as he was affectionately known by nobody, in the Thrilla and Sevilla back in the late '80s. Excitement that you couldn't be rivaled until now. But word to the wise, bring your own chess set. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. And Tim,
bonus block.
This is a little game we like to call Password. I guess Mark Goodson and Bill Todman, or Merv guys, or maybe, maybe the Triumvirate came up with it back in the day. Alan Ludden was the host. Betty White, his wife, was often a panelist. Did you ever see the Friends episode where Joey Tribbiani was a contestant on Password and no, wait, that was the $25,000 pyramid. See, now I'm getting them all confused.
Well, it's the same. It's the same game. I mean, I would have, if I would have been Alan Ludden, I would have sued Dick Clark over that.
Maybe he was on both of them.
It's essentially the same game. It was the same game for stupid people because Password. I mean, it was so subtle. You had to get one word. That's all you get. Just
you
one
think
word.
Password was subtle?
Yeah.
If you think Password is subtle. I've got a Words with Friends game I'd like to sell you on that I play all the time, which I believe is Scrabble for idiots because you don't get penalized if you come up with fake words. And even the New York Times crossword puzzle isn't as good as it used to be when it was on paper. Although I mean I prefer it to paper because I used to have so many erasures, and I couldn't read, what I had written in there. But you will know that when you've come up with a wrong answer. It used to be that you didn't know until the next day whether your answers were wrong. And if you get a letter wrong, you got to keep finding the correct answer. But enough about that.
My family plays catchphrase. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, we play catchphrase. We enjoy that.
Okay,
But,
it's like loud charades.
Yeah, it's good. I do the same charades every single time. Gone with the Wind is my go-to. But infirmities aside, with the modern day games, let's play Password.
Oh, okay.
Are you there, host?
Hello, gentlemen. Oh, you couldn't hear the song? Damn.
Oh, no. You had the theme song for us?
Yeah. I'll have to put it in the post. It was playing.
No, all I heard you say was shh, shh, shh.
Oh, okay.
And I thought that was because that's how they used to do it on Password. Was the password?
Yes, that's what that's how I tried to do the intro.
Bulbous.
Yeah.
So to recap what we do here, political password.
Okay. Yeah.
Political password. It can be a person, a movement, a document, things along those lines.
And by the way, Tim, bulbous is never a word on Password, but it's a great word.
I had a buddy. His joke was, I was once a writer for Password. My favorite script was dog.
Didn't Cable Guy have porno password? Remember
What?
Did you ever see the Cable Guy with Jim Carrey?
No.
Watch it.
Okay.
He's at a family gathering and he suggests playing porno password.
There we go.
Okay.
Well, between that and me not knowing whether Joey Tribbiani played $25,000 Pyramid or Password, I think we've gotten off to a great start.
And
so let's play Password.
And you know the last name of Friends characters.
Well, because we watch the reruns all the time. I didn't watch it first run, and I watched them on Nick. And my wife and I watched them as a chaser to whatever we're watching on Netflix. At the end of the night, we'll just go back to the same 10 episodes they play all the time on Nick and Night. I know there were like 250 of them, but they played the same 10.
Well, I think they had to. Yeah, I think there was a lot of stuff they had to pull out.
Because it's politically incorrect?
I think so. I think a lot of Friends. I think a lot of Friends episodes wouldn't play. I don't know because I've never watched it. I'm just a guess. Just a guess.
Yeah, I noticed things closing in on to gay slurs that they would never say now. And there's one where David Schwimmer is trying to get a tan, and he goes to this tanning booth, and the guy gets sprayed on his front twice because he didn't turn around in time, and he winds up looking very dark skinned. I'm not going to say he was a Jimmy Kimmel, Karl Malone clone, but yeah, they would have hesitation about electing him governor of Virginia now. That's all I can say. Okay.
Didn't we do the story on here that the creator of Friends has apologized that it was too white? Did we do that story? Maybe we'll do it.
I didn't know that, but I can understand that it was too white.
And too straight.
Right, exactly.
And too cis.
Yeah. Look, I think Modern Family should apologize because I believe it was in season 2, episode 8, where and they thought they were making great strides with the gay characters, and I think they probably did because they showed America that gay people can be just as crazy as everybody else and totally normal, and they were lovable characters.
A friend of mine called that show Gamus and Andy.
Oh, Jesus. So in season 2, episode 8, I believe it was, Cam, the bigger guy, Eric Stone Street. So and I know the names of the actors too. So he has they adopted this kid from China or Vietnam, I forgot, Lily, and she was at this
which is kind of controversial too if you think about it.
At this point, she's only like about 3 years old or whatever, and she goes shopping and does all these girly things with the Sofia Vergara character, and she's spending like the whole episode with her, and Cam is getting more and more angry as the episode goes on. And finally, he admits at the end that he was a little bit envious because he realizes that Lily doesn't have a mother. Well, wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Yeah.
You don't admit that.
Yeah, no,
that
absolutely
a man
not.
and a woman over parenting a kid is superior to Heather having two mommies. No, you don't. And so
you totally gloss over the fact that you bought it from the Chinese because it was a job that you didn't want to do.
So it was just like, I don't think I never heard that there was any controversy over that, but I don't think they do that kind of episode now. But anyway, I love modern Friends. That's a hybrid. Modern Friends. Okay.
Let's play Password.
Let's play Password.
To put a bow on that, they also couldn't cast Eric Stonestreet anymore because he's straight. Now you have to be gay to play a gay character.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with that one.
Yeah. You got two choices, Eric. Either you get fired or
you
do
trans.
or you do a dude.
I mean, that was cultural appropriation. And he was a great actor in that role. But sorry.
All right, we're gonna have enough time to get through one or two of these now.
Okay.
So now, if you recall, you have to either take off your headphone, Bruce, or hit the mute button for 1 second while I say it. We'll start with Bruce. We'll come back and start.
I will take off my headphone and then come back on. Here we go.
All right. The password is JB Pritzker. JB Pritzker.
Okay.
Tim, you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
Okay.
Bruce, you ready?
Yeah.
We'll start with Bruce. Remember, this is a person, document, movement, etc. Bruce. Fat.
What did you say?
Fat. F-A-T. Fat.
Oprah?
Incorrect.
Okay.
Tim.
And she just lost a lot of weight too. I'm sorry.
Tim, to you. Illinois.
Pritzker. I knew who it was when you said fat. I didn't need the second clue.
It is political password. Well, that's because I want Oprah to be the president. Actually, I wanted Oprah to be the Queen of England. I wanted her to take over. But okay.
Yeah, well.
All right.
Tim's got one.
Tim's got one. Bruce 0. We need headphones off or mute button.
No, hold on.
Please, Bruce. Mike Pence is the password. Mike Pence.
Can I come on, Ben?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. We start with Tim on this one. Stoic. Stoic.
Queen Elizabeth.
Decent guess.
That is really good.
Bruce.
But wrong.
But wrong. Bruce. Indiana. Indiana.
Well, it's not Bobby Knight, I'll tell you that much. Mike Pence.
Ding, 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 ding. Yes.
I don't look at Mike Pence as stoic. I mean, compared to Trump, everybody is.
You said you did an hour with radio with him. You said that had to be the most boring hour of radio. You had to carry him because he has.
You know what? He talked up a blue streak, and he was informative. And they sold him to me as, he did radio and he's fun and he's funny. And no, he's not funny.
Should have asked him questions like, do you like movies with gladiators?
Have you ever seen Gamus and Andy? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Ask him about Mother. He refers to his wife as Mother. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I think Mike Pence actually has a point about not sitting down and having dinner with women. Okay. Like, I mean, I think he's a little grandiose to think that they would be interested in him, but yeah, I get it. Okay.
On to the next one. Bruce, you keep an eye on the clock for us, by the way.
Sorry, we've got 1 minute to play in the period.
All right, last one. Winner take all. Hold on. Did you take it off, Bruce? Okay. Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher. All right.
Wait, you just said it. You said it. I got it.
Yeah, we got it already.
What?
You said Margaret Thatcher.
I did. I was saying the clue.
I thought I gave you enough time. All right, that's why Alan Ludden had this down a lot better. I got to tell you.
We get to end on a tie too.
We end on a tie.
Yeah, well.
So that was a great show. Tim, as always, thanks so much. Pick me up a charbroiled burger at the Hardees on your way out, and a My Pillow as well. One of their Go Anywhere pillows. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production. Copyright 2022.